This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. Health officials of the Pan American Health Organization making a clarion call to those who are unvaccinated to get their jab as soon as possible. Today marks the 20th anniversary of Vaccination Week in the region of the Americas. 2 years after the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and around 1 year of vaccines being made available to the public, according to PAHO, approximately 64% of people in the Americas have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Director of PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, laments that many still remain unvaccinated and has this message for that sector of the population.
My message to you is that vaccines continue to be our best protection against vaccine-preventable diseases. They are the best implement in our toolbox against COVID-19 mortality. To those of you who may have doubts, I want to reassure you that vaccines are effective at protecting us from severe disease, hospitalization, and death. But above all, they are safe. The technology development behind the manufacture of COVID-19 vaccines and their production have followed the same strict standards as for other well-known vaccines.
Dr. Etienne urges that countries continue their expansion of COVID-19 vaccines to not forget other diseases for which protection also exists for.
Vaccine coverage against polio, measles, diphtheria, and other childhood diseases has dropped in many countries in the region as the pandemic response overwhelmed people and health systems. We cannot let our guard down on these preventable diseases. We all need to do our part to keep ourselves, our families, and our communities safe.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness latest figures on Bahamians and residents fully vaccinated in country was March 19th. A total of 163,526 persons have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 in the country. Meantime, 2 COVID-19 cases confirmed for the Bahamas for Tuesday, April 12th. Both cases here in the capital and both with a travel history. The Ministry of Health and Wellness latest dashboard now indicating that there are 106 active cases. Hospitalizations have significantly decreased. 5 cases are in hospital, all patients considered moderately ill. The COVID-19 death count remains unchanged at 789, with 35 deaths still under investigation. 9 people recovered from the virus on Tuesday. Total recoveries now at 32,253. In addition to its devastating impact on the health of many individuals, the coronavirus' negative impact on the economy has been devastating for many. And while some countries are still battling high levels of the virus, here in the Bahamas we seem to have found a balance, albeit a fragile balance, learning to live with the coronavirus. And as we hear in this next report by Jorino Saunders, although the government still has concerns, it is of the opinion that we must do all we can to stay safe while keeping the economy open.
As we approach the busy and long Easter holiday weekend that usually marks the beginning of beach season here in the Bahamas, and with the government announcing that churches can now operate at 100% capacity, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Dovell was asked if there are any concerns or safety recommendations for the general public, as some countries around the world are still battling new COVID strains that have the potential to reach the Bahamas.
The EOC met and they felt it appropriate to allow churches to meet at 100% with the necessary healthcare protocols. And I believe that this particular Holy Week and this particular season, I believe that the churches have always acted responsible, and I believe they will continue to do so. With that being said, the Bahamian people must know that it is a responsibility of ours to be able to practice the right protocols, and the Ministry of Health is looking very closely at what's happening around the world. We're looking at the new variants, and we will make the necessary decisions when the time comes.
Dr. Dovell was attending a neurotrauma workshop for Caribbean nurses at Holy Trinity Activity Center on Tuesday. He reminded Bahamians and residents that COVID is still here, and although many restrictions have been lifted, the public is still encouraged to practice safety protocols. Dr. Dovell says if we are a disciplined society, we can see more of the economy open, especially those businesses like nightclubs that operate after hours.
COVID has not gone away. It's in the country, and the responsibility of every Bahamian in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is to practice the appropriate protocols. Once those protocols are practiced and implemented, we will definitely see that we're able to keep our cases down and be in a position to open other sectors of the economy so that people can get back to work and we're able to sustain ourselves as a country.
There were 22 new cases of COVID reported by the Ministry of Health between Saturday, April 9th and Tuesday, April 12th, with 106 active cases as of Tuesday. Dr. Dowell says the government is closely monitoring.
Well, we're watching all of the cases. Some are travel related. We're a tourism country, and we have to open our borders in order for people to come to spend and to get those tourism dollars. Our responsibility at the Ministry of Health and Wellness is to be able to manage COVID in the country and to be able to do it effectively. We are concerned anytime that there's an increase in numbers, but what we realize that the increase in numbers of some days are directly related to reporting being delayed for that day and the accumulation of 2 to 3 days. And so we are working diligently with our labs to ensure that the cases are reported daily so we can have a direct number that correlates with the specific date on our dashboard.
Dr. Dowell continues to encourage those Bahamians who have not done so already to volunteer to take the COVID vaccine because the benefits to you as an individual and to the healthcare system are many. Jcn Saunders, Jcn News.
Thanks, Torino. Another illegal firearm is off the streets of the capital and a man is in police custody. Police reports indicating that on Tuesday, a team of officers while on Nassau Street observed a male who aroused their suspicion. He was approached and searched by the officers who allegedly found in his possession a pistol containing 10 unfired rounds of ammunition. The male was subsequently arrested. Now, this removal of firearm and arrest come as police have implemented a targeted approach towards suspected individuals and groups in identified communities as they seek to disrupt criminal activity, arrest and prosecute offenders, and preserve peace. That said, police say following a thorough investigation of this latest incident, the suspect is expected to be formally arraigned in the magistrate's court. And as the police continue to seek ways to address the ongoing battle against crime in the country, anthropologist, playwright, and professor at the University of the Bahamas, Dr. Nicolette Bethel, joins the national conversation on crime. She tells our news team that crime has been out of control for some time, and instead of just talking about it, we need to come up with a plan to deal with it.
We may not even have become even more violent as a society. We just have become more efficient at killing people because we have different kinds of weapons. But in the past, you know, I've been dealing with theater all the time, all my life, and there's always this stock scene that you see, which is somebody does somebody wrong, and then that person looking around for bottle or rock or knife or conch shell or whatever. Now we're doing the same thing but with guns. And so the effect is different. The death rate is higher, yes. But is the crime rate higher? I don't know. It is high, and that is something we have to address. Rather than getting worked up about, oh, it's rising out of control. No, it has been out of control for a very long time, and we need to do something about it.
A number of officials have suggested to the media that some of the recent homicides may have been gang-related, and according to the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernander, the month of March is marked as the country's bloodiest month after it saw 22 homicides alone, a record for the most murders recorded in a single month, marking it as the deadliest month on record for the country. Dr. Bethel says that when a country is faced with a spike in crime, that it has to take into consideration a number of things.
And when people get worked up about crime rates and crime spikes and so on, a crime rate is a percentage of crimes that are committed within the overall population. So as the population grows, the number of crimes is going to grow if we're not addressing the fundamental problems. So just looking at the real numbers doesn't help us. And in fact, the numbers and the statistics they actually suggest that most crimes, with the exception of 2020 and 21, most crimes are declining.
The university professor noted that while the crime rate has remained high, it is still fairly stable. Well, that does it for news this evening. Once again, I'm Tyler Simonat, and from all of us here at JCN News, have a great evening, everyone.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.